Okay, everybody, welcome back to Coffee and Art in the Morning. We're doing a second little project here. And somebody was asking me about collage and how to like bring it all together. So I'm starting with the page that I already have all the elements glued down. Okay, and I'm zoomed in. I might even be zoomed in a little too close, but we'll see how it goes. Um, so it's hard to kind of describe my process when I'm not actually doing the process. I try to always, and if y'all haven't seen me do enough collage, there's plenty of videos where I do full collages where I'll take either just images and do a mixed media collage, or I'll take actually my own drawings and paintings like this one, and then do a painting, mixed media painting collage around the figure, the central drawing. But today I'm going to work on a page in my Dilutions journal, and which I will try to, finish up this whole book eventually. And most of the pages in this one I've done black as a kind of background. It kind of ties the whole book together, although there's other colors in there too. But I wanted to kind of try to show how to make your images cohesive and kind of talk about what I'm thinking while I'm doing it. I pulled out a couple of my little art cards here to show an example, to show some examples of after you glue your main images on and to start to tell a story. It's easiest if you think of a person, place, and thing. Think of that as just to get you a story in your head as far as what you're going to glue down. Um, but what the whole story unfolds as just kind of happens. I need to glue that little wing thing down there. Happens as you start painting. Well, I should say, as I start painting, because you might have a little bit different thinking process or what you're thinking while you're doing it. Hey, Jean, if y'all have any questions, put a Q and a colon, and as again, excuse the squeaky chair, and we'll get started. All right. So the other thing about collage is how to really kind of make something interesting is first off, you can use your images. Don't necessarily think of them as they are. Instead of thinking of this as a flower, this could be a moon. Okay, this could be a whole moon in the sky above the mountain range. You just kind of, and that kind of unfolds also as you're going. Sometimes you might have something specific in mind. Like I always like my element of time, so I usually have a watch or clock or something in my piece in some way or another. Not always, but a lot of times. A lot of times. But that doesn't mean it has to be an actual watch or clock. Like on this, you don't see the hands even. It's just like this could be a portal. It could be a something on the wall behind her. It could be a metal something on the. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be explained. You don't have to necessarily have um, an exclamation for every item in here. Okay, you leave it to the viewer's imagine. I leave it to the viewer's imagination to tell their story. For me, when I do these kind of art pieces, these mixed media collage things, it's different than doing, say, and I said this before I hit record. Record. It's different than say doing an illustration for a specific purpose. In other words, like someone hires you to say, okay, I'm writing Little Red Riding Hood and I need to have you do the pictures. Hang on, guys. Hey, I'm streaming. Can I call you back? Okay, bye. Um, um, it's different that so if someone calls. Oh, good. Okay, let me get back in the art mode here. um, if someone hires you to, say, illustrate Little Red Riding Hood, you're going to do specific things. You're going to draw Little Red Riding Hood, you're going to draw the wolf, you're going to draw the woods, you're going to do specific things to illustrate somebody else's idea. So you can be hired to do somebody else's concept that they already have in mind. So you're basically doing their imagination. You could be doing, like I just got done doing a pet portrait here. Here's the pet portrait we just did on the last part of the show. That's a specific, another type of art. I'm doing something very specific. It's supposed to tell the story of that person or that animal. It's, it's very specific and very definitive. But when you're doing an imaginative fantasy world, unless you are trying to tell somebody else's story or a specific story, for me, these kind of things are for the viewer to look at and use their imagination. So when they look at this, I don't want to tell you what I'm thought about when I did this. I want you to be able to look into it and see something that's from your point of view or what's inside of you. Does that make sense? I think I kind of explained this the other day when we were talking about art books. So I can kind of tell you how I do my process and what I'm thinking while I'm doing it. But as far as the story and what's going on to tell the story, I'd rather it be what you see in it rather than me telling you what I did, or what I was thinking when I did it. Does that make sense? So these are some of the little 4x6 postcards that I just have on hand. I do a lot of these and give them away. A lot of y'all got some of these at Christmas. Um, so like I was saying, when you're putting together a collage, you can start with a person, place, and thing just to get you going, get your imagination started. But when I do collage, and I keep, I know I say a lot when you, and when I don't mean that I'm giving you an exact step by step. When I say you, I'm just talking the general you, not, you have to do this step by step. So, and it's when I say we, I'm usually talking to the people in the chat. So I kind of have to try to explain that because I'm in a live chat when I'm doing these shows. All right, so the other thing when you do collage is think like opposites. Think like big and little, black and white. Uh, you know, I had another bird on here. I was kidding with the girl saying dead and alive. I mean, just and if you want to, you could go ahead and start making you a list of opposites to go in your idea notebook that we're going to start at the end of January. But until then, oh, thanks, Lynn. So there's different purposes for your art. You might like just want to be doing an art journal where you just want to get your feelings out and just, write it all down and put words with it because you want to explain what you mean with it. There's not, there's nothing wrong with any of it. And there's no right or wrong. It's just the purpose of what you're doing. There's just different specific purposes. Like I said, whether you're doing a portrait, an illustration for somebody's story, or even your own story, it's very specific. But when I do a fantasy collage like these, let me just do a quick little while I'm talking. I might have something, started specifically that I'm thinking I want to kind of go with this idea. But when I'm doing, and they're varnished, so they're going to have a glare. But they're never going to turn out, there's not a specific, it's not like a paint by number. It's not like I know that, oh, I'm going to use a blue right here. I know that, it doesn't work that way with this type of my art. It's more free flowing. It's more kind of comes together as I'm doing it. I might have a general story in mind, but the details come together with the paint. Okay, so I can't really say, oh, I thought of two yellow arches here because of her yellow hair. That came together while I was painting the three yellow things, you see. So it's kind of hard for me to describe in detail. I try to talk my process out while I'm doing it, while I'm recording it, but to explain every single little meaning and nuance that a lot of times comes together, while I'm doing the story. Okay. So they're all stories, but it's more of a what story do you see than what story did I mean. Although sometimes I'll name something like I call this one, excuse me, I call this one Father Time. So you can kind of get a little bit of a meaning out of my title. But I don't really go into, I don't know. I hope I'm not rambling too much here. I know I try to explain this process every time I do a collage. And hopefully I'm not cutting off too much the top or the bottom. So I'm just kind of flipping through the ones that I've already got in this book. And the ones that are varnished are done. This book has a lot of in-process pieces in it. So, just going to do this quick flip here. And I know y'all probably see me flip through this book 100 times. Just fast forward. Just fast forward. Okay, this one's not done. So here's where I've left off as far as not finished. All right, but here, let me show you some contrast and opposites and things like that. Okay, we have the sky and we have the water. I have a bird, but do you notice that I use the same wing on the owl that I did on the angel? Okay, it's the same wing. It ties them together. All right. Here's one, can be one dimension, another dimension. They both have watches on their heads. That can be it can be many things. It could be a hat, it could be a halo, it could be time, it could be non-time. So there's just lots of things that mean things to me that you may not even see that. You see something totally different. And now, mind you, this one's not done, but I'm kind of just explaining that. All right, now here's one where I just glued down some underwater coral flower things. All right, I haven't done anything else with that. So some of this one I did for an example to show a few weeks ago on picking random things to start a story. So this was a whole different idea here on how to choose something to tell the story and where to place it. Because when you pick your collage items, don't just say, oh, I just want that, move them around, shift them around, turn them upside down. Don't look at things necessarily like they are. I can totally see a staircase going up his back. Okay. Okay. Let's think outside the box a lot more. Yeah. And so these are different things that I have glued in for starts. They're just some play starting here. This is how they start. And that doesn't mean that's going to necessarily how it has to be. I might, I saw this beak as part of the hillside here. This just it's like part of the hillside from this hill here. But does that mean it's going to stay that way? When I start painting on this, I might want the owl's wing to come right across there, and I have no fear of just painting that toucan right off the page. So you just have to not worry about, you can kind of get an idea when you glue down your stuff, but that doesn't mean you have to stick with it, you know. In this case, a piece of this door wood also looked like water, okay? So I took off some of the wood and made it into the water. Look at things and just imagine what else it could be, okay? So you can kind of see here some of my non-finished, or just basically how I start. I got all different kinds of little somethings in here. Just imagine, you don't have to have it be what it is. Okay. Let's get that all to flip back in there. All right, so here we're back over here to some more that I just glued in. And so this is the one we're going to work on. Okay. It doesn't have to be what you think. These are all unfinished and just different stages and different, this is a totally different book there. All right. So we're just going to go with it and see what happens. Another thing too, when you're doing stuff like this, and I'm doing it live here, and with the live people. I mean, of course, there's live people, but I'm just going to work it in live, and I don't really worry about things like if it doesn't turn out, and you're watching, you go, oh no, she should have put blue there. Well, then that's helping you because you're seeing something in a composition or a color or contrast or something that you think, oh man, I wish you would have done that. Because I've done that. I've watched people's processes when they've done art journal pages or paintings or whatever, and I'm going, oh, that's going to be beautiful, and they change it, and I think, oh no, you should have left that blue. So the whole idea of some of this could be helpful in how I do it, but it should be more helpful in how you want to do things or change things or see things. And I hope that, when you're doing just using your imagination kind of things like this, it's not a specific story, it's not a specific art project, it's just using your imagination, but you won't do it unless you glue something down and try. In other words, if you're just thinking in your head, okay, I need just this color bird, and maybe I need a, you're overthinking it, and you're never going to get something down on the page. Okay. Well, I don't know if it is or not, but like I said, you've just kind of got to go for it. Now, because most of my pages here have a black like background to them and sky and space, I'm kind of going with that theme in this book, but we'll see what happens. All right, so another thing about doing, let me move this over way. Another thing about doing a collage that I've shown is part of the technique part. There's certain things that help the collage technique work. And that is, one is as many torn edges as possible. Now I have cut this bird out, I've cut this out, and I don't even know if I cut it out for this or if I had it already cut out. But if you have torn edges, your paint's going to blend better. You're going to have a better blendability if you have torn edges. I'm sure there's going to be more that I think of. I also try to stick with like maybe three colors or a color scheme. This one's going to have, of course, I'll have a lot of black in the very back edges and stuff. But I picked these colors out before I hit record. I picked out peony pink. Okay. I picked out a brown. Well, actually, two shades of a yellow ochre and a sienna kind of color. This one is it's called milk chocolate, but a brown tone, my bright pink, and two shades of blue, and black and white. So to me, see, that's three colors. Okay, it's three colors. Different ones, like this one has pink, green, even though it's got a couple or orange rather, orange, green, even though it's got different shades of green, it's green. And then I have the orange and kind of reddy orange color, and then the black. So you can see things can tie together with color as well. Okay, so you can tie your collage together with color. Okay, let me get crack-a-lack in here. All right, so let me just put out some, gotta get my pokey tool because y'all know I never close. And I said earlier before I hit record that it's not necessarily this is the way to do collage. It's not the only way. You can tell specific stories and all kinds of things with collage. This is just how I do collage because for me it's let me kind of move over here. You can kind of see some color. Well, I don't know if you'll be able to see the color. I just use coffee lids for my acrylic paint. All my collages are just done with craft paint. Okay, nothing special. Nothing special, just plain craft paint. I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it, or you can't do something different, or this is just how I do it. Okay. What Karen said, still, she can use it. Oh, you want me to use the whip app? Gary mentioned the whip app. For those of y'all that don't know, the iPhone has it's called Pocket Whip, and it's free. Well, you can buy other whip sounds, but the two that come with it for free are good enough. So we get crack-a-lackin', and then the other one is the Indiana Jones one. And I'll tell you, when it's fun to use that is when you're in the stores. It's fun to do that in the store. Okay. Okay, so let me get my pokey tool again and open up some of my paint. I never close these things. It's always... All right. So let me put that over here. So I got some kind of a midnight blue color and a kind of a robin's egg blue color. Look, let me poke it. It's not coming out. And I'm not getting out too much there, but I can always get out more. And I'll get out a little pink. There you go. All right, so those are the colors that I'm using. A couple of shades of blue and black. Well, I know that they're there. It's hard sometimes to show you when I've got other colors underneath, but I know which ones are dry and which ones are wet. Oh my gosh, does he do that, Carrie? Carrie saying that her house uses the whip app on the kitchen when the servers are too slow. For real? Does it make them laugh? Oh. All right, so another thing too, okay, I do probably need to put some wax paper in there so I don't glue pages together because I'm in the middle of the book. That's funny, Carrie. Do they take it in good humor? Carrie, do they take it in good humor? And I just like to do this basically, I don't care if a little bit of paint gets on other pages, but this will glue them together, especially when you go to varnish. When you varnish the pages, that's another thing that when I use my Ceram Coat varnish, I use the interior exterior glossy varnish, and it comes in a bottle like this. The pages, if you let it dry 100%, they will not stick. See, these are all varnished, and see, they're not sticking. Okay, but you got to make sure they're dry. Make sure it's dry before you close the book. But when you varnish them, you want to have wax paper in between the pages where you're doing the one where you're varnishing. Otherwise, you'll glue your pages edges together. That's funny. Okay. All right. So I think I will start around the edges and I'm just going to go ahead and start with my finger. I'm just going to pick up some black. And a lot of times when I'm doing things like this with you need a baby wipe there to wipe back wherever you don't want, if you go over something you don't want. Because everything is I'm trying to because this one's already been glued down, I have to kind of talk back a few steps. Everything's covered with golden matte medium. So when you get paint on something like that, it will wipe 100% right off because it's coated with matte medium. So you don't have to worry about getting paint somewhere you don't want. Um, all right, so when I'm doing this, I'm kind of thinking of when I'm doing it, I'm thinking about the story, and I'm also, this gets rid of all your torn edges. Now here is an example of where, it's cut, but if I go right around that and it gets on top of the image, because it's got the matte medium, see, I can just go back and wipe back. All right, I can wipe back where the paint is, and that way get the paint right up to the edge. All right, so because this, like I said, this book has a lot of black space background, I'm still kind of going with that for now. But you can blend out all your white edges, all the torn edges you can just get rid of in one swoop, and then just go back and wipe off any place you don't want the paint. Okay, so that right there helps the blending process just by getting rid of the white edges. All right, there again, I'm just going to wipe back any place I don't want the paint, but I've got rid of the white torn edges. But because the torn edges are just easier to blend. Now that's not blended, those two items don't go together yet. I'm not working on that. I'm just really trying to get rid of the white right now. I'm going to go around all my edges here. And again, if I get too much close in, I can just kind of try to keep it all in camera there. And no two collages are alike. I mean, they're all going to be different depending on what images you put on them. I might make this undersea, or that could be, I could totally turn this into, let me give you an example. I could totally turn this into a world. Okay, I could just make that into a whole world right there, just by making it circular. Now, I don't know that I want to do that yet, so I'm not, but, and the other thing is you go through a lot of baby wipes. Okay, go through a lot of baby wipes, backing off your paint like that. Okay, so I don't want to cover up all that blue right there right now. All right, got to get some more baby wipes. Because if you don't get clean baby wipes, you're just going to be moving the paint around rather than wiping it off. Okay, all right. All right. All right, so this one I'm going to go ahead and take the wax paper out now because I've already gone all the way to the edge on that side. Don't throw that away. Perfectly good for the next project. All right, back over here. And I know that sometimes, I mean, I've listened to, a couple of my back videos thinking, I sound so like intense. I'm like so serious, and it doesn't have to be that serious. But I guess when I get in explanation mode, I sound like, oh, this is, I'm really, it's really intense, and I'm not feeling that way. But it's funny because when I listen back, it sounds that way. But I guess I just get into the explanation mode. Okay, so I'm all the way to the edge on that one, taking that out. All right, so there we go. Okay. All right, so now I'm seeing that I knew that this little piece right here, this is either a piece of a wood scaffolding or something, but I knew I wanted it to look like a staircase, a stairwell, or stairs going up and around. I didn't know if I want to go behind this bird and over to this nest and around. That's what I'm thinking I want to do. All right, so I'm going to hit this with a heat gun to dry the black, so I'm not picking that up, which sometimes I might want to, but right now I just kind of want that background to be set before I go too much farther. All right, so, and let me get another baby wipe just to clean my hands off a little here. All right, so is this like even a bit helpful in any sense of the way while I'm trying to explain it? Some people just like to see the finished thing and the process, but not really like explain. But because I had a couple questions before I hit record, that's why I'm over explaining probably today. Thanks, Cass. But mostly it's just going to be, trying things out. Watch what I do, and you can try the techniques but it's really going to be just trying it yourself and seeing what images, what colors, what you like in your imagery. And I do put the paint on pretty thick, so, I don't want big blobs of black paint getting in my way of the next bit. So, let me take a sip of coffee here, too. Get out some more baby wipes. All right. So you can sometimes I'll use a brush, sometimes I'll use my finger, depending on, like, if I just want to get things going, I might use my fingers just to get it kind of planned out. Hopefully I'm not too zoomed in. I'm trying to be zoomed in enough where you can see top and bottom there. All right, so for instance, like I said, I kind of want to see a stairs or some kind of something going around there. So I just might start with, let me just get some of this. Go the brown here. And I might start by just blending in some of the colors there from the nest to the wood plank. Now, I'm going to just talk out what I'm thinking of the process. I'm not necessarily talking out what my story is right now. I'm just talking out what I'm thinking about while I'm doing the blending. Okay? Because people were asking me this before I hit record, and so I'm going to try. So I'm just taking right here the black and the tan color to kind of blend those two together. Maybe I see the nest right here needs to have, around the eggs might need to have more darkness, so the eggs are more defined. Okay, I might even need a littler brush, but because it's got matte medium on it, I can go in there and kind of, fiddle if I need to. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this staircase thing to kind of flow around. It's going to come behind that bird. It's going to come under there, and it's going to come around over here. And I'm not sure exactly where it's going to go. I'm just in my mind kind of picking it out here. It's going to come around this way, and it's going to come over to this nest thing over here. So I'm going to go right over that flower right there. Okay, so I'm going to tie these two together. Now, because that's slick and the paint's not really covering, I might have to add some black in there just to get the paint to cover that pink flower. Then I can go back over it with the tan. You see how I'm kind of just like bringing this over here? Okay. Now, I might want that part of this to be part of that nest. So we're going to keep some of the nest for now, and it's going to go behind the mountains. I don't want to lose that reflective mountain there. But it might need to come up to the ground right there. I'm not liking how it just ends right there. So we're going to take that off right from the mountain and around. So this is just like a base coat. This is just like where I'm going with it. I don't know, where exactly yet. See how what I'm talking about? I don't know exactly. All right, so maybe the horizons can kind of come together right there. All right, does that kind of see that? All right, now I want this, I don't want this to end right there, so I'm going to go ahead and make this, I'll paint in the stairs. See, right now I'm just blocking it in, but I'll duplicate that or replicate that. Let me just pull a little bit of the white here from there down, just so I know where it's going. Okay, so this is where you just take your paint, and also another thing that um, that takes a little practice is blending colors. Like to get that exact tan color, if I really wanted to, I'm going to have to come over here and I can just see the colors so I can kind of mix them in, and I'm visually comparing them. Okay. It needs more brown, then that's too red. So I can tell if I want to get that exact color, I'm going to have to mix a darker brown because this is going to be too yellow. But for right now, I'm just going to take a little bit of blue to gray it down, just so I can kind of show y'all what I'm talking about. Because this is going to come, and I got my brushes too wide, but I want this gray to come around this way. Okay, this whole gray thing is going to come around this way. Now I'm not too concerned about like every little detail right there yet. Like, in other words, I can go back in here if I get a little wonky. If it gets a little wonky, not perfectly straight right where I want it, I can always go back in there. Right now I'm just kind of trying to figure out where I want everything to go. Okay, see how that's kind of going there? So I might connect this bird's feathers, part of that going this way, and then back around the bird this way. So you can kind of see that's too thick, so I can either wipe it away or just take care of it after a while. But I'm just right now trying to define where I want this to go. Okay. All right, so in my thinking process now, I'm trying to do that because somebody asked me what I'm thinking of while I'm doing this. All right, so I'm just right now trying to smooth that, make that a little straight. But here's what I'm thinking now. While I was doing this, I know I want these stairs to come across over this way, but let me pick some up so you can kind of see here. I'm using this kind of as an example. All right, so these stairs, and I got the wrong brush for it, but I'm just going to kind of do this for now. All right, these stairs are coming around this way, but when they come over here, I'm thinking this. This is what I'm thinking. They're going to be going this way, and I'll fix them right now. I'm just dabbing them in so they're not perfectly, rectangular right now. I'm just getting them in there. It's almost turning into looking like not only stairs, but it's like holding up this nest. Okay. So I might have the stairs doing that. And they really need to be more like where I want them to be. And then they'll get thinner and thinner and thinner going off of there. Shh, real quick. So this could be visually how have you ever walked, or no, not necessarily you've walked over one, but those bridges that are like floating in air, um, with just like thin ropes. Like if y'all ever seen, the guys going across in the Travel Channel or National Geographic or whatever when they're walking across those rope bridges. Okay. So look, it's turning from a railroad track into a rope bridge. Now, mind you, there's not a lot of detail here yet. It's just kind of blocking out where it's going to go. Okay. All right, so now I might stop there and just kind of ponder that for a minute and go back over here and let me wipe a little of the, got a little black smidge, thickness right there. It's got matte medium on it, so you can still wipe it away a good bit. All right, now I also see a mountain here, mountains here. I can do like, well, let's see. Let me get a little bit of blue here and kind of mix a couple shades of blue to kind of tie this in. So I might have the water like right under that. Here's the reflection of the mountain there and there. Okay. I might want to get rid of that dark right there and turn that as part of the mountain. So I'll just add that there. Pick up a little white and we're just going to kind of fix that mountain right there. Get rid of the black. Just kind of make that mountain come down here. Let's see that. All right, now I don't know if that's part of a something there, but I'm going to paint over that. So I'm going to get some. Okay, let's see what I'm doing. So this is the kind of stuff where I piddle and play and start getting into like a little story in my head. You know, I kind of have an idea for that from this, but now I want to start doing some detail. Like here's this mountain, but there's also going to be, I'm going to do like an arch here because this is going to be a separate thing in there. And it's not shaped right. There we go. There we go. That's better. Okay. And then how far do I want that to come down? For right now, I'll just stop there. But I still want the bridge to come off there. I want the bridge to go off the page. So the bridge kind of overtakes this. So I'm going to have the rest of that arch coming down here. Let's see if I can replicate it visually. And do I want the water and clouds to come over this mountain? Is that how I want to blend those two things together? If I do, I've got to dry this black. Okay, let me go back up here where there's no black right there. And I'm going to grab some blues, whites, and I might try to, let's have this sky coming out from behind this arch and right over into this plane, if you will. Okay, so I'm going to kind of just carry that over. Now, I don't know all I want to do over here yet, but I'm liking that this world is coming over into this one. Okay. I hope y'all are kind of seeing this. I don't know. Maybe I'm over explaining. Am I over explaining, Kathy? All right, so let's see. What do I want this to be? Do I want this to be, I don't really want it to be another arch there, but maybe this will be, let's see here. If I don't like it, I can wipe it back. Okay. I'm thinking this could be another. Now, I'm not real good at doing full circles like this without turning it over and looking to make sure it's circular, but I can kind of eyeball it just for the purpose of this demonstration. It's easier for me to wipe it back to get that circle than it is to draw it in, but it's not too bad. All right. You still here, guys? I'm just kind of do a cloud there now. I don't want to lose this mountain, and I might want to even make it more. No, I don't want to go too far over there because I want it to reflect in this one. So let me go back. Okay, still here? Okay, thanks, guys. Okay, so just to give you an example of what this will end up looking like, I mean, I wouldn't probably, if I was doing this just by myself, let me add another layer of black here because it didn't completely cover up that pink. I wouldn't go to this step yet, but I want to show y'all kind of like what I'm thinking. I already know it's going to be this, you know, because I'm going to do, you know, the stars and stuff up here. Um, I wouldn't probably be doing this until I was going to do the whole background over here, but just so you can kind of see. And I always like shooting stars, and you know, like right here, I've got a piece of, all right, so this part of this watch is right here. You may not be able to see it 100%, but there's the hand right there. So this watch hand might come right off those eggs and right up into space. These right here might come off of these eggs and go this way. So the hands of the watch are going to come off. I don't know how far I'll take them, or if I'll have two coming up from there and two from here. That might be kind of cool. But I also have to remember that I have to kind of let things dry and set, or get my heat gun out, or they'll, you know, I'll just be smearing things around. But let me kind of, so I just kind of think of a imaginative world while I'm doing this, you know, like it can, you know, it can be anything. You don't have to, you don't have to say, oh, that mountain is Mount so and so. You know, it could be anything. All right, and then the same thing down here. Because I did the reflection of the mountain, now I'm not quite sure how I want to tackle this as being the mountain yet. Let's see. Let me just take some black here and kind of see how I want this to kind of just visually go up under this bridge. Don't think I want it touching the bridge. Don't know. But I wanted to, you know, the pink might stay or the pink might go. I don't want it to look like anything other than what I want it to look like. So I'm not sure how I want that to be yet. But I'm kind of thinking that I want these to be mountains as well. But I'm not quite sure how I want to blend them yet. But I do know that I want right in here, I'm going to want the clouds over these mountains to be coming out this way as well, under the bridge. Maybe carried over there, kind of like that is. All right, so just kind of doing this kind of, I don't want to do it too quick, but I don't want to take all day to explain what I'm thinking while I'm doing it. But over here, there's might be stars. Well, let me get some, hang on. I got to fill that in right there where the black kind of got wiped away. This might be another one of those. Let's go. Again, I'm not real good at eyeballing a circle, but I think that's pretty good. All right, I'll have to put 2 coats of black, cover up that pink. Oops, too far. Let me back that out some. I'm doing this really fast, guys, really fast. But down here, on the reflection of this world, which I don't really have set like I want here, there could be stars down under here too. So it could be like a reflection of the two. Okay, and I haven't painted up there yet, so I can't really do that. So you can kind of see. And none of it's set in stone. I can go back if I don't like that there's stars down here. I could go paint them out. But what I'm thinking is I want a shooting star to come either coming up this, I think I want it to come that way. Let's see, let's do it. Let's have it coming up here. Coming across the bottom down here. Of course, I'm not done painting down here, so this will be painted over and painted back in. But just so you can kind of see. Let me look at chat for a minute. Is this at all helpful, Kathy, or anybody? All right, so now now that I'm looking at this with the shooting star, I'm kind of liking the idea of, let me get a different brush, thinner hairs, of doing something like, let me get some blue, that kind of pinky coral in there, and maybe doing some, turn this into some kind of a feeler thing here, like instead of a mountain now I'm turning it into something organic. Or it could be part of shooting stars. Maybe this is what a shooting star looks like when it's close up, when you're right up on it. So I'm going to do all these little things with the blue, the pink, and the white. Oh, okay. I don't know. Maybe, Cass, but thank you. You're sweet. Okay. Let's get some more pink. Maybe I want some pink ones coming out here. Real obvious ones. Like maybe a couple come up this way. So I guess the main thing, here's what my theory is. No fear. I mean, it's like, if it doesn't turn out, like, so what? You've thought of something new. Even if you don't like the whole thing, if you don't like something that you didn't turn out exactly what you like, this is it's just a journal. This isn't for, some museum piece or anything. You know what I'm saying? It's just your collage journal, for goodness sake. So, you just really can't mess it up. I think I'll have a couple bright ones coming off right there across those clouds. I have a few twisted ones coming this way. Oops, too much. Oops, I picked up black. Let me clean my brush. Alright, I think I'll see. So this makes it into a good transition now that I didn't like that pointy mountain thing. I like the idea of a mountain there because it's kind of like going with this whole mountain theme. but now, it was just wasn't blending right there. So, I just go with something different. And if it doesn't work, you just, paint over it. All right, now I am going to want my stars and stuff to be on the outside of this arch thing. And I could go in here and, do a little bit more shading and make it look more detailed as far as where that arch is. Like there could be like a little, like shading thing there. So you can see like it's, yeah. All right, now maybe I want my stars to come like tie the stars in with this. Although I probably would take more time to do more of these little arms. But now I'm just going to go ahead and put it in the background of my outer space. And you can put your stars in like this, or you can just take and do some, let's get a little bit of water here. If you don't want them perfectly like circular or whatever, you can just take and do some flicking, like that. Make all different sizes. Okay, so you can see where I need to work on that bridge. Okay, make that bridge tie into this. And then now I've got a place to bring all this over into here. Okay. And you can add as much detail as you want. This whole thing, this whole world could be like a lot. All right, so now I'm going to bring this arch around there, behind this bird. Okay. Now, I'm thinking that I might want some little buildings or something inside of there. So I might just kind of, there's a little piece of something there. So I might turn that into some little buildings way back in that distance. I'm just kind of getting my black nice and, see. Right in here could be some more of the, and I would probably get a littler brush and get more detailed in there. But, and I don't want to say I'm trying to hurry, but I am kind of trying to, get the whole idea here. I got to do some more of those little feelers. All right, let me blend in that real quick because I want to show you like if I'm going to put in the clock hands. All right, so let me just get a little bit of blue and a little bit of maybe a little grayer here, just to kind of get rid of that pink right there. I want to get rid of some of that pink and blend that into that watch right there. Okay, just going to kind of blend that in right there. Then I might take the black and blend in so it's not real, whoops, sharp edge right there. You need to get a littler brush. And some of the brown, like, all right, so. So I'm just making the same kind of little urchin thing on this side I did on the other, and that'll blend these two things together here. The more time you take with just, you know, these details, the better. If you like doing the little details like this. So let me just kind of come down here with these. All right, so anything going on that I missed? Y'all could, well, I'm glancing up at the chat here to tell me if there's anything going on I missed. All right, see, so I'm going over that with this to kind of tie those two things together. Just kind of overlap areas, Kathy. You know, overlap one thing over another. If it doesn't work, you can just wipe it back, you know. What's wrong with Jean? Poor Jean. Nothing going on there. Move along. Keep move along. Nothing to see here, Carol. Yeah, I want to finish little Sophie for Pack or Die, and I'll post that for her. When I get done here, so you can just kind of see I'm just picking up blue, white, and pink that are kind of like in there already, and just, you know, depending on where I want the light part to be right there, and then just kind of, you know, tying these things together like that. And then, all right, let me go back to, might have, I wanted to get to the watch hands. That's what I was trying to get to. And also, I like to put outer space in little nooks because you just don't know where space begins and ends. Just don't know. Might space these out, these stars out a little more so they're not so clustered on this side as they are on that side. But I might want a few over the top here. See, I haven't even worked on that bridge yet. All right, can you sort of see? There we go. And now looking at it, I'm thinking, okay, I like how the wings could go right into that sky. So, because the sky and the bird colors, look how that, can y'all see how that can so easily blend together? Look. So I don't really have any purpley. Let me see. Let me go with the little of the pink here. Let's go with the little pink and see if I can pull this off with the pink and the gray. But the bird's wings and the sky could so be one. See if I can do that. I need a little more gray. You'll see that? Isn't that kind of cool? I can tie in just a little bit of white glow under those clouds. See that, Kathy? Got too much paint on there. I did want some little buildings there. Now I got into doing the clouds and the bird. So let's see here, let me kind of blend that underneath there. We just look at it and don't don't over worry about, oops, I got too much black. Don't over worry about, does that make sense? Do the clouds and the bird wing go together? So let me kind of get an undercoat there so I can paint that in better. I'm gonna let that dry, and then what I want to do is I got some white paint on my, here we go, let me get that off. I think I drug my hand through, that's what it is. This is wet, and I drug my hand through it. That's how my sleeves get painty and crusty. Let me get some of that excess off. All right, let me hit that with the heat gun real quick. So now to tie these together, let me start with the littler brush here because I want to get his little, pull up my sleeve. I want to get his little wings to kind of blend into this. So his wing is going to come right around, or his feather rather. The feather's going to turn into that, and I can go in there with finer brush in a little while and make it more defined and refined. But I want this cloud now that's going to come in through here and here. It's going to turn into his wing, and it's also going to float right over him like this. So the cloud's going to come out over here. So like that. So it's kind of like mimicking over here. See? And I would take more time normally with, getting it to from one side to the other better, but I just want to kind of show there how we're going. Any questions or anything going on yet, guys? Or anything? And I could take more time to turn this into more feathery things. The clouds can turn into the feathers, can turn into a feather coming out this way. But I'll have to get a little small brush and get in there with some little details. All right, let me do one more thing, then we're going to go. I want to do my little watch hands here, even though I didn't finish the bridge yet. I just kind of want to show you how I'm thinking about it, even though I'm not really completing the whole thing. All right, let's see here. I need a different brush. Got a round brush. I need a flat brush for this. Got water there. But I'm going to go for it here. Start lightening it up as it comes on. And then maybe these little nests things. Let me go in there with that real quick. Let me get a couple of shades of brown here. And maybe some of these little nest things, little hay stalks. Let's get some of those in there. And I'll tie that in right there. And then over here, hey Barb. All right, so oh yeah, the watch hands. Now I gotta decide where I want them to go. I think I want one to go this way and one to come down this way. See, sometimes this is where the composition part really matters. Like, because I got my shooting star going this way, and I want this watch hand. Don't want it to cut right across the middle. Do I want 3? Do I want it going this way? I think I might want it to go that way. Might just have to do that one in there so I can tell. All right, so I'm going to just kind of do it with white and yellow, white and ochre to get kind of a gold color for now. All right. So I'm going to want it to, I had to turn it, guys, because I want a straight hand here. I'm going to want it to come this way. And this is just where it's going to go. I'll fiddle with it and turn the watch hand into this, but I have to do it in a couple of layers so I can get the darker brown color, like that nest color coming. See, it's almost like the watch hand is one of the pieces of straw. And I'll have to point that up with the black paint. Okay. Bye, Jeannie. And then I have to decide if I want this one to kind of cut across here, which I think that looks good right there. Do you know what I mean, Vern? I'm thinking it needs to come right across here. If I don't like it, I can just paint back over it. I do have to turn it sideways to get a straight line. No, I don't like it there. It needs to be more angled. It needs to come down here more. It needs to come down a little more, I think. It needs to come down there. It's too thick, but that's the angle it needs to be. All right, let me take this other one off. And I can just put some black paint over that. It's almost like this hand is getting ready to intercept with that star right there. So I'm just thinning it out a little, which I can also do with the black paint. right, so anybody got any questions or anything? I don't know how helpful this was. I gotta say, I really don't. But it's kind of like what I think about when I do it, just for an example. And see, these little eggs can be like little planets. You see, little worlds in there, little tucked away little planets in there. And I can do more clouds, more, more connecting the elements, and take more time to, I need another bridge bottom right there. Let's see. Or I might not, because that might detract from the angles. I might just let it free float. I don't know. Okay, good. Thanks, guys. Well, this is part 2 of today's streaming. We did, let me wipe my hands off before I pick up and I'm going to post it for Pack or Die. I haven't seen her here. She's probably with the kids at, school and stuff, but I'll show y'all. We did this on part 1. So if y'all missed part 1, this is what we did on part 1. We did little Sophie. Did a little Sophie memorial for Pack or Die. And I'll post a picture of that later. The other thing I've been working on, I still have 3 other, I got a little boy commission and a sunset painting and a squeaky chair. And what else do I have? Oh, another dog that I have to do. So I have a lot of commissions, but I have been working on, let me show you all these again. My Gold Rush crew. So if y'all didn't see it on the other ones, I'll show it again real quick. I've been working on the Gold Rush crew. There's Parker and his granddad. I know the light's a little flashed out, but there we go. And then this next one is Todd and his dad, the Hoffmans. And you can see them on Twitter and Facebook. Gold Rush Facebook, put them on their Facebook page. And I was surprised how many people liked them. And then this one is Tony and his daughter Monica. There we go. I'm trying to grab the light just so the color looks right. So that's Tony and Monica. And then I've also done Dozer Dave. There's Dozer Dave. Let me get the light. Sorta. There. And then Gene. Gene's one of the foremen. Let's get the light again. Sorry, guys. I'm not capturing the right color. But, so there's Gene. So I've been working on those. I do have a couple more in mind to do in between my regular work. So, thanks, Colleen. Oh, thanks, Barb. Yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, like they not tweeted them. Well, they retweeted them as well, but they post them on Facebook, and like in one overnight, it had 20,000 likes. I could not believe it. I said, I never seen 20,000 likes, and a whole pile of comments. Which some were funny. Me and Julie, I know her name's not Topaz. We're talking about it because she was with me when I was saying thanks to people over there. And some of the comments, it's like they pick on Parker and they pick on, the Hoffmans. And it depends on what crew they like. It's really funny. Me and Julie were laughing at it. But anyway, guys, so there we go. There's a little bit of my way of doing collage and showed you, some of the other things I've been working on. So thanks everybody for being here, and hope everybody had a little art inspiration. Don't forget, at the end of the month, we're going to be doing the idea book where you collect your ideas. And that's at the end of the month, after everybody gets settled into their systems that they're going to be doing for whatever projects for the year, that it kind of will add to, it'll help you collect your ideas for whatever projects you're working on. It's not project specific. It's just general specific. Oh, what else? Oh, let me go ahead and show real quick. I did do a little bit more in my Mama Jamba journal. If y'all haven't seen the very big sketchbook, it's I did this showed it on Monday, and also did the real quick little spray painted in it. So all I've really done is going to be probably flashed out because of the light. Sprayed the first page in there and put my name in there. And I know that there's a quote, and I said this Monday. There's a quote, I think it's a Dr. Seuss quote, the places you go, the things you'll see, or something like that. I'm going to do that across here in calligraphy. I just put my name and my blog address there, inkywell.blogspot.com. And then I'm practicing doing those ginormous faces from Leonardo's, the compilation of all his paintings and stuff. And so I'm just practicing some more pencil and, taking and playing here. We'll just add some more curls. So this is my sketchbook play. And then over here, let me get the paint off my finger. Then the next thing I was showing that I just did some little faces. These are the little oval faces that you just cross off, put a cross down it and put some little dots for eyes, and then go and start playing with making little quick little sketches. I mean, they're tiny. Look, let me put something up here. You can see how tiny they are. It's like 2 inches. And so that's pretty much all I got in here now. I mean, it's going to take a while to fill up that. So thanks, everybody. And I guess I don't know if Noodle changed her mind about streaming at 1. Yes, as of yesterday, she said she was not feeling well yet, getting over a cold or something. So, all right, guys. So otherwise, we'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.